Hey everybody, we are back with another What Sold video for you today. This is what sold in our online business, reselling business on eBay, Poshmark, you name it. You name the platform, we probably sell on it. So just sharing some of the things that sold in that last week of 2023. So this is December 25th to 31st. Okay, we're going to start off with eBay with a musical instrument sale. So this might be actually a first for us. I was trying to remember another instrument that we've sold, but we really don't know much about them. We don't source them. Maybe it's something that we should in this upcoming year kind of think about adding to our store of knowledge for reselling, but if you have any tips or tricks on musical instruments, feel free to leave a comment down below. But this was something a family member gave us. It belonged to one of my husband's relatives who had passed away, and he just had acquired it. There was no real emotional attachment, like he used to play it or anything like that. It was just something he had that got passed on to us. We ended up selling this. I think we had sent an offer, probably a percentage offer, because the sale price was $206.24. And anyway, we just put the information there that we could find on it and took a bunch of pictures. And that's basically all we could do. I think, obviously we researched comps and things like that as well. So the next sale on eBay was this American Girl doll. I think you saw it in one of my haul videos. This one was a truly me, not a vintage American Girl doll, which can sell for a lot more. This one was from 2017. So the older ones are marked Pleasant Company on the back of the neck. So this was just a newer American Girl doll that is a truly me. You can buy the dolls based on what your daughter looks like, and try to match the doll up to the little girl that you're buying for. Anyway, I had gone back and forth with one potential buyer before Christmas, and kind of clarified, answered some questions, and then I think, yeah, that's what happened. She had bought another one, but the buyer didn't give any indication that they had shipped it. And so she was buying mine kind of like as a backup, but then she bought mine, then got notification that the other person had shipped hers. So she didn't want to end up with two, so she canceled mine. But I don't know that she still had proof that the first buyer did it, other than just she said she did. So I don't know what happened there, but in any case, this sold on Christmas Day. I don't think it was that original buyer, but anyway, it was somebody different. And I had sent out an offer, and so this sold for $45. And I paid, I don't know, you guys who remember my haul videos probably remember what I paid. More than I do. $6, I think it was. I remember the thrift store. I found it just a couple weeks ago, so it went really quickly. Here's another item that I showed in a haul video. It was one I did with Mr. Pish Posh, and we talked about the fact that as we had shopped together one day at Goodwill, and he was, as we were checking out, he was putting this up on the counter, and it's, tapestry upholstery is pretty thick, and there was, what does it say? Over 4 yards of it. So it's kind of bulky, hefty. He's putting it up, and he just kind of shakes his head, which, if you've been watching my channel, I've talked about fabric and my backlog, and I am still buying fabric at the thrift store. But when you find something like this, you have to pick it up. And I got it listed fairly quickly. It was kind of funny the day that I told the story last week about the other fabric that I sold directly. And so since we had that table cleared to measure that fabric, I said, hey, let's just grab this one. We'll measure it real quick too and take a bunch of pictures. So I went ahead and got that listed right away, and I got an offer for $100, and I was like, that's fine with me. This takes up a lot of space. I paid $6 for the fabric at Goodwill, and it sold for $100 in like a couple days after I got it listed. Next up, a necktie. Yay for neckties. So as I'm, whenever I do a video, I start looking for neckties. I start looking for whatever the subject is of my video, right? And I just make sure I'm like always checking that section of the thrift store. So I think before I did the video, I was in a different thrift store and looking through, and I found this one, an advertising necktie. Very, very like random. It's called Doodlebugger. It had to do with Texas oil. Here's what it said on the back. Copyright 1951, Herb J. Hawthorne Incorporated, Houston, Texas. So Doodlebugger had something to do with some kind of drill bit brand or something. Now, I could not find another necktie for advertising this, but there's all sorts of postcards and stickers and ephemera that was listed. So I was like, well, somebody's going to want this. And what I did do is I did try this at auction first, because there wasn't a whole lot of information about, how desirable something like this would be. So I thought, well, maybe necktie collectors or the oil company collectors or somebody would just be more interested in this. So I ran it as an auction, but didn't get any bids. So I was like, all right, that tells me, at least for that week, nobody was looking. So I'm just going to stick with a fixed price, and I'm not going to go crazy. It was pretty dirty. It was stained, but I thought, someone will take care of this who just wants it for their collection, maybe of Texas oil stuff. So I just listed it at $24.99, and that's what it sold for. And it wasn't too long after I listed it that it sold, maybe a week or two. Here's a type of coffee mug that I generally pick up. They're called, I don't know, I throw a lot of different names into it. You can say monogram, you can say initial, you can say letter. The company who makes this style is Anthropologie. And I'll zoom in a little bit because it doesn't say Anthropologie anywhere on the mug, but there's a little bird. So you might see other mugs with that little bird. And, you might not know what it is, but so these initial ones, they're just very basic bread and butter type sales for us, and they don't always sell super quickly, but they do sell eventually. So this one was $16.99 that this letter A mug sold for. Lots of A names, so it's a good letter to have. This is a slide rule. I realize my little screen's probably cut off. But it was kind of interesting. It's a circular slide rule. So I've talked about slide rules maybe in the last few videos because we've sold a few. And I keep saying we pick them up if we get a chance to research them. If they're kind of pricey, we will. If they're cheap enough, we just pick them up and sell them for whatever they're worth. This one was a little bit harder. We just thought it was really cool with the fact that it was circular. And we were at that thrift store in town that recently reopened that I've talked about a few times. And it was in her case. She has some more vintage antique things in the case. She didn't have it priced. So when we asked, she just said, oh, I think I'll have to get like $7 for that. And we said, okay. And we couldn't really just like look it up right in front of her. I don't know. That would be kind of rude. And so we just said, you know what? It's neat enough. Let's take a chance. $7, support small business. And we ended up selling it for $45. And I think mostly because we had a couple of the little inserts that some of the other ones didn't have. And here's a who knew kind of bolo, maybe to keep an eye out for. Mr. Pish Posh picked this one up when we were thrifting recently. And it's a GE Projector lamp bulb, and it sold for $25. So probably just a case of discontinued, you know, they're not, it's a projection lamp. So am I correct in thinking, yeah, for a projector? Yeah, he even used projector in his title instead of projection. But in any case, I think that's what it's for, a little projector, like we had in school back in the day. And like, where are you going to find these light bulbs anymore? So $25. And that actually went really quickly too, just within a few days. Was talking about hot rollers and curlers recently. This is, I talked about, what was the other set? The tight curls, the Remington tight curls being like our favorite. And we had sold those for like, you know, usually can sell them anywhere between 60 to 80, 90, depending on condition. And if clips are included and the box and all those types of things. We've sold them over and over again when we can find them. Back when we started reselling a long time ago, and we were kind of like, ooh, hot rollers, that was kind of the thing resellers would share with each other. And the red base Remington style setters, I remember being one of those, like, oh, that's a good one to look for. And I think they make a yellow base one, and that one never sold as well. So it was always like, look for the red one. And then over the years, we just I got away from hot rollers because, you know, I knew it was a little bit more of a hassle for Mr. Pish Posh to ship. At this point, we're doing this as much as we can as our main income. And so he's ready and willing to ship pretty much anything if it makes a profit. So we picked these up at our Little Bins outlet place, and they sold for $40. So that's really exciting to know that this kind of vintage basic one is still something that people are looking out for. Another, let's see, this was a Mr. Pish Posh find. We were at Goodwill shopping together. Same day I got the tapestry fabric, he found these pillow shams. A pillow sham and a couple pillow cases, I think. This is the first one that sold, but this is just a sham, and it sold for $35. So Pottery Barn kids can usually do pretty well. Combine it with Star Wars, it's all good. Another mug that came from, I'm pretty sure, the bins or the outlet. It was a Mr. Pish Posh, him shopping by himself. One day, there's something else he found that day that will be coming up later. And he had stopped at the bins clearance center, like right at the end of the day, the last hour that they were open. And he just got, I'll talk about that in a minute. But he had picked up this mug. We used to sell this mug quite a bit. We'd find it in Washington, and it's a vintage one. There's a clear one, and then there's a cobalt blue glass one that has the Starbucks logo, and the blue one's always sold better. But this one, the logo was in good enough condition, so he grabbed it, and we actually sold it with an offer for $13.50 plus shipping. Chico's Travelers, that's, you know, kind of another bread and butter clothing brand. I don't pick up everything Chico's, but the Travelers line does have a following because it doesn't wrinkle, and it's nice to travel with. But this one only sold, I got a $20 offer, and I said, yeah, for sure, let's take that. So here's the pair of boots that Mr. Pish Posh picked up at the clearance center that day at the end of the day, and we got a little bit of insight into what the clearance center does. And I think she was clearing off like all of the shoes and was going to be putting out like a bunch new shoes. And he said, well, how often do you clear the shoe thing? And she's like, every day. And I was like, whoa, I had no idea that they get that many shoes that go through the clearance area. And I've told you before, this clearance center is attached to, it's connected to a local thrift chain that we have here in the Flathead Valley. And so some of this stuff just goes straight to the clearance center, that they get overwhelmed with stuff and they can't process it. And some stuff, I think, just gets rejected from putting in the main stores. And so you find a mix of just broken and messed up stuff along with like perfectly good items. Kind of like the Goodwill bins, I think is like that too. But these were a pretty small size, but the brand was UGG, and so they're not the typical UGG, fuzzy snow boot type thing. These are rain boots, and they were a women's size 5, but we sold them for $30. So not bad. He got a bunch of shoes that day because as she was putting the shoes out, the new ones out, he got first dibs at kind of digging through them and picked up mostly shoes that didn't need a ton of cleaning, that were in fairly good shape. So these were the first ones to sell from that bunch. This was a cute little vintage chess set that I picked up even though it was missing one, I think one of the blue pieces. So as you can see in the title, we just started with as is. I just thought the case was so cool. Like somebody could figure out a replacement for it. It was from the 40s. It had the little, at least that's the date, on the instructions. And it definitely has that look. But the pieces were marbled. Just a nice looking little set. So we sold that one for $31.49. And little Sanrio from 2002. So a while back I got a bunch at, I think at Goodwill. There was a couple bags of Hello Kitty and Sanrio items, and they were all kind of like Y2K, and some of those things can sell for really, really good, but I ended up trying to split these up to sell them, and they just did not move like I thought they would. This one, the little spiral notebook sold for $10. I was happy to take that offer and move that on. So more about the Sanrio lot later. At the end of this video, I'm going through eBay, Etsy, Ruby Lane, Mercari, Poshmark, and then at the end of the video, I did do another sale on Facebook. And if you remember, I had done a video about I had sold a bunch of cowboy western, especially shirts, in a certain group on Facebook, and I made a video about it, how I could make a couple $100 in one weekend, in a couple hours on like a flash sale on there. I'll try to link that video at the end of this one if you wanted to see it. But I did another flash sale. It wasn't quite as successful, but I will show you at the end of this video what items I sold from that. Sold this Brighton belt for $25. And then this was another fast sale. We sold these mugs. Let's see. Yeah, I think it was the same guy. Okay, so I found these at Goodwill. I paid $2 a mug. Otagiri, I always look for these larger grand mug style mugs by Otagiri. These were really nice looking, right? And Mr. Pish Posh got them listed like the same night I brought them home. He did $35 for the pair. I think the buyer asked how much for one plus shipping. And, we had just listed them together. And so, we weren't quite willing to split them up just yet. We just want things to move at this point. And so I thought Mr. Pish Posh was going to answer him, and I think he thought I was going to answer him. So we didn't answer him right away, like in an hour or something. And then he probably was like, oh, this is silly. And he just went ahead and bought both of them. So that worked out. And then another necktie sale. I showed this in one of my necktie videos. I believe this was a Vineyard Vines. We talked about that as a decent brand to look for, especially when they're co-branded with something else. So this one was just a generic ice hockey type of theme. I did pick one up the other day that was Boston College, and so it has a Boston College logo on it, so I think that one will do pretty well. But this one sold for $17.99. And that is it. Yes, sorry, I had that page showing. We're popping over to Etsy now. This little snack tray, super cute, mid-century. The maker is called Jetline. They're made in Japan. I think it had a sticker on the bottom still. See, isn't that a cute little sticker? Anyway, so I had found 3 of these, and I wasn't sure about selling just 3. Like 4 would have been okay. So I had 2 of them that I put on Ruby Lane that have not sold, but then we put 1 of them on Etsy, which sold. So now we're taking the 2 off of Ruby Lane, and we've got the 2 listed over here on Metal and Tweed. So we probably should have just go ahead and, I don't know, put all 3 together in the first place, but it just seemed kind of a odd number to worry about. So we'll see how the other ones do on Etsy. And then I think this actually sold the week before, but I don't remember if I shared it with you guys. The brand is Gense, Gense. It's a nice brand to keep an eye out for in flatware as well. It's made in Sweden. So these are kind of sizzle platters, they call them sometimes, where there's a stainless tray with a wooden tray, like a steak platter, sizzle platter. And we sold those for $34. In the flatware shop, which is still open and running, and you know, guys, I'm sorry, Mr. Pishposh and I, we were supposed to do a live the other night. We had scheduled it. We were going to do a live stream and kind of talk about our plans and reselling goals and things like that. And we just got some sickness in the family. My youngest is, he's always had an issue. Whenever he gets sick, he gets night terrors, especially if he has a fever. He gets night terrors at night. Now, it's been a couple years since he's been sick and since he's gotten a fever. And so I was like, oh, he's older now. He'll probably outgrow this. But we, you know, couldn't take a chance. So we have him sleep upstairs where we can kind of keep an eye on him. But he still has night terrors. And so it basically meant that we didn't sleep very much that night. And then I had stuff going on that whole day, doctor's appointments and some other things that came up. And so we ended up canceling the live stream. So I apologize for that. I'm not sure that we'll reschedule it, but let me know in the comments below if you want me to do some kind of video that kind of outlines what our plans, our reselling plans are for the year. I don't know if that's helpful to you guys or not. Anyway, so yeah, we've just got a bunch going on right now, so I don't know if a live stream will work out, but just let me know if you care. Okay. Oh, did I even talk about that? So WMF Chromargan is a good stainless brand to look for as well. Let's see if I can get on the mark. This one was made in Korea, so if you can find the ones that are Germany, those are going to be higher priced, but still it got $8 for 1 dinner fork. I think is not bad. A set of steak knives. These have been listed for a little while, but just very mid-century modern looking with a black handle. It was called Bloomfield Stainless. Those sold for $30. And then over in the pattern shop, I had one pattern sale for $24. Betty Jackson, Vogue Individualist. I always keep an eye out for that line of Vogue patterns. Sometimes oh man, I can't think of the designer. Anyway, I've talked about it in my sewing pattern. Issey Miyake, I think it was. I think his patterns fall under this line of Vogue patterns, the individualist ones. I can't remember if he has other ones, you know, on Vogue that aren't part of that line, but I always keep an eye out for that. And then they are going to be a little kind of quirky patterns that are a little bit more cutting edge. Popping over to Ruby Lane, sold some flatware. This is Queen's Fancy. And these were just the serving pieces out of the set I found. Some of the other pieces like the dinner forks and teaspoons, those can actually sell for really good money. I have them all listed on Ruby Lane. But when I looked up comps for the serving pieces, they weren't so great. But $35, I actually paid up when I bought the set. I paid up and paid like $70 or something for the whole set. But I should be able to make hundreds of dollars once all the pieces have sold, and I'm already halfway through my initial investment with this set. And the comment that the buyer made was she was just helping her parents had gotten this set as their wedding flatware, and she was just kind of helping them round out their set. So that's kind of cool. And then this brooch sold for $66 on Ruby Lane. It's an Appaloosa horse. It was signed SFP. I had, I think, some information. Here, I'll show you the... there's the signature. And SFP is Santa Fe Productions. There is a Navajo artist that it's attributed to, but it's not clear. I didn't want to make any bold claims about it. I just said, here's the information. Let's just talk about it and sell it for what it is. Okay. A nice sterling horse brooch. So this I picked up for a couple dollars up in, back in April. One of the thrift stores that I go to has a jewelry sale once a year. So much fun. Anyway, I got this there. Next up, pair of earrings I picked up not that long ago at one of my local thrifts, one of the few thrifts that actually still sells jewelry, just easily that you can access. And I paid $5 and they sold for $18. These were signed, they're clip earrings, they were signed Matisse, which Renoir and Matisse are going to be the names that you'll see on this enamel covered copper jewelry. And this was kind of awesome. This has been listed for a while on Ruby Lane. It's by Smith Frederick, and it's a reverse painted painting. And you can see the signature, Smith Frederick. You can kind of see the reverse painting thing on there. Let's see. There was information on the back. It has the name of it and everything. So it was supposed to be, it's one of a pair, but I just had the one that I picked up at a yard sale or estate sale, but it sold for $31 plus shipping. And then this little brooch by Anne Klein, super cute. It's just a goldfish with a little goldfish dangle for $17. Hopping over, we actually had a couple sales on Mercari. We are going to be cross-posting a little bit more often to Mercari, just as part of our trying to just get stuff to move and sell and put it and spread out the audience that it goes to. So a lady bought one of my perfumes that I had listed. This one was Hermes, and I had picked that up not that long ago. And because it's not new and not full, I have to put it on Mercari, one of the few places you can still list that. And then they bought this kid's Burton ski hat as well. And the bundle together, $40, I went ahead and took that. And then the other sale we had was $57 for this toy, Transformers. We picked this up at Goodwill. Our Goodwill has started getting a little bit of like the Target clearance, whatever you call it, overstock or whatever. So it doesn't, whenever there's a sale or a coupon at Goodwill, these don't get included in it. They're considered overstock or something like that. But we just paid a few bucks for this anyway. They didn't have it priced super high, and we took an offer of $57 for that. Now, Poshmark, we had a good week on Poshmark. It's been kind of quiet lately, if you've noticed, but especially at the weekend, we sold way more on Poshmark than we did on eBay. So anyway, we'll go through that real quick. We sold this Nike Oregon Ducks beanie. It was vintage, sold for $18. This belt, I picked it up at Goodwill for a couple bucks. It's by Prana, and a very boho looking macrame style belt sold for $22. A hat sold. This is anyway, kind of random. Just one of those things that I couldn't believe that it ended up selling on Poshmark. I kind of did it. I was like, oh man, I need to get more stuff cross-listed. We are going to be utilizing VENDOO. VENDOO's our cross-posting software, and we are going to be utilizing it a lot more. I've been talking a lot about it on Instagram because VENDOO is running a promotion right now that if I post information about VENDOO and how it helps me on Instagram or on social media every day this month, then I'll get the rest of the year for free. So we're going to see. I'm going to, anybody who follows me on Instagram, you're going to be bombarded with information about VENDOO. But if I can get a free year of VENDOO, then I will take it. But even though I use it, it is a write-off. It's fine. But anyway, I digress. I just wanted to say that this got cross-posted over to Poshmark and sold fairly quickly. And that's the beauty of cross-posting. This was a vintage sweater that had been kind of in my profit pile, and I came across it recently, and I thought, you know what, just get that listed because it's so awesome. It's a novelty type style sweater. It had all sorts of things, these moons and trees and a guy fishing in a boat, and it was just awesome. So that sold for $30. This was only $15. I only picked it up because it was new with tags, but Maurice is not a brand that I really pay much attention to. This belt buckle sold for $31 on Posh. We thought that was pretty good. Then I think I paid about $6 for that. This was the lowest sale of the week. Just glad to have it gone. Oakley golf pants, not a thing you need to be looking for. This had more promising, it's GLCR, 686 GLCR. It's a snowboard ski company, whatever. And when I was looking at it at the thrift store, I was like, oh, this is going to be really, really good. And then I don't know what happened. Maybe I was looking at men's because I found it in the men's section at the thrift store, but it was really women's. So that might have had something to do with it. We were just finally glad to have it sell for $30. Cool, one of our favorite brands, right? Alpaca fleece. This was a woman's fleece pullover that I picked up and sold it for $35. And I told you this story last week about Poshmark and how they handled this. So basically what happened is the guy's address was wrong. So the hat came back to me. We had to have Poshmark step in because I wasn't sure how to handle it with the whole Poshmark label. They basically, I think, refunded him and kind of canceled that whole first transaction. So I went ahead, I told the guy, let me know, I'm going to relist it when your address is changed. So he changed his address, let me know, I relisted it. A day or so later, he remembered to come by it. So it is sold again, and hopefully now on to the buyer at the correct address. Ralph Lauren. I had found two very similar style coats. One was Brooks Brothers and one was Ralph Lauren. Just like it's a barn coat, a chore coat, but it quilted with a corduroy collar. I thought this would go a lot faster. The Brooks Brothers one sold super fast. This one took a lot longer and finally sold for $38. Another item that I'm like so glad I cross-posted because I tend not to think of home goods on Posh, but I need to get my mind out of that sometimes your buyer is just not where you expect your buyer to be. So cross-posted these napkin rings, and Port Merion was the brand, and they sold for $38. Escada. Escada's, it's a pricey brand, and A lot of it is vintage. You'll find made in West Germany from the 80s. And it just takes the right buyer, so it takes a little while. But I had this suit that was kind of small, but it sold for $81. That was one of my best sales on Posh this week. A pair of Sam Edelman ballet flats, just easy peasy kind of sale, nothing to write home about, $20. And then here is that hoodie finally. We've seen the hats all sold really quickly. R.L. Winston Rod Company, this one sold for $29. And then this one was kind of a surprise. New York and Company. I'm sure we picked this up at the bins or that little outlet center and clearance center. And not a brand, obviously, I'm going to worry about picking up. And it was down filled, so that is what's going to make the difference. But we got a $40 offer, so we took that. Okay, so that was it for our platform sales. I did a sale on Facebook, like I mentioned. That was, whatchamacallit? Oh, so I decided to do it by theme. So the first time I did it in the Facebook group, it was the quirky vintage. I'll pop up a picture of what the Facebook group looks like. But I had done a sale that was Western themed and sold the horse things and Western shirts and did really well. Sold like over $200 worth of stuff. This time I had pulled together a sale of vintage cat related items and some dogs. And I just kind of pulled things from all over the place. I only had 25 items, I believe, to put in that sale. And I sold like 6 of the listings. So that's not really terrible. It just wasn't, I made, I think, about $77 when all was done. So here's a little video that shows some of the items that I sold in that sale. Okay, so just sharing the actual sales that I had from my Facebook group sale, flash sale, purge sale that I did the other day. And I just wanted to share as I'm doing my what solds. These are some more items that we'll be packaging up and sending out. So first off, I sold this pair. These were in my own collection. I have a bunch of vintage cats, but figurines. These are just wooden, probably like made in the Philippines or something like that. They kind of look like they'd be salt and pepper shakers, but they're just little figurines, and those sold for $12. This was just 1/2 of a salt and pepper shaker, but as you can see, the holes in the top. But I just thought it was super cute even by itself, and I believe that one sold for $8. I think this was another $8 sale. Just the super cute little plastic hanging thing. It kind of explains on the back. It's a plaque hanger for cups or pot holders. And it says something about hanging in pairs, but I only had the one. And I believe I sold that one for $8 as well. I had some stationery from Current. Remember that company, Current, mail order, 1988. So it had note cards, note papers, stickers, some letter, and a pen that actually still worked. That sold for $10. This one I think also was $8. Now I know like this style, and I have sold a few, I don't know, you'd have to have been watching my channel a long time, but one of my best sales last year was a fuzzy kitty like this that had red fur. And it sold for like hundreds. And so this one, the white is a little bit dingy. She's a little chippy. She's very crazed. Super cute. Made in Japan. She wasn't worth as much as like that, the one with the red fuzz. So I was just trying to move it in this sale. And I actually just ended up letting it go for like $8. And then this sold for $10. It's a switch plate cover. And as you can see, it's by Dansk, made in Taiwan. Has a little kitty at the bottom there, but we sold that one for $10. And last but not least, these were not vintage. I ended up selling these. I was going to put them in my sale, but the that group, the rules are like nothing later than 1990s. And these are actually Y2K. So they're technically vintage, but they would have had to gone in the sister group for more current quirky type things to sell. And so I just mentioned in the sale that I was going to have to put them over there, or people could direct message me. I had a bunch of people interested and a bunch of people passed on them. But then finally I got someone who decided to buy all of it for $20. And then last but not least, I've just got this little brass ring holder. And I just did this little charm as a kind of giveaway if you bought something else. And this brass ring holder, oh man, what did I sell that for? I think it was like 10 bucks or more. Now I can't remember, but anyway, so it wasn't too bad of a sale. It started off really slow and I almost regretted doing it. But I think I've probably already explained in the video that it just took a little bit more time to get, you know, people to agree and commit and everything. So that's what sold in the Facebook sale. Okay, just wanted to do a quick finish up of this video. That was what sold in the last week of 2023. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button. We do these what sold videos every week, and we'll have another one coming up soon with the first week of 2024 and what sold there. So if that's the kind of content you're looking for, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And as usual, you know what to do. Leave a comment down below. Let me know how your last week of 2023 went. Let me know how your best sale, your best find, you know, anything that's happened recently for you in your reselling life, please share with us below, and I will see you soon.